So I want to talk about the subject of religion, mainly because I was raised Catholic and then I grew up to become an atheist, and I was a very devout atheist for most of my adult life. And as an adult, as a grown man, I made a lot of changes just in circumstance. I moved far away, not because anything bad, but I grew quite a bit as a person, always learning, always wanting to learn more. And I studied about all kinds of different religions, but I never really believed any of them. I always thought they were kind of hokey until I got older, and I did move away to another state and spent a lot of time listening to podcasts and reading. I've always been fascinated by religion. I think it's an interesting subject. But being raised Catholic, I was far removed from believing in Catholicism or Christianity, even though I respected the persona, the person, the story of Jesus Christ, although I for a long time doubted that he ever existed, that he was a myth. It's a different story to tell you why, I remember what day I actually decided to completely convert and be a follower of Jesus. And it's because, like I said, it's a whole nother story. But the point is, I want to talk to people who consider themselves atheists, especially the smug ones, because I was a very smug atheist. I was very, I thought I knew it all. I thought I knew everything. I could debate anyone on it. I debated priests, Christian priests, Catholic. I didn't ever debated a Catholic priest, but I think I could have, and I've debated Jehovah's Witnesses. I've debated with Mormons, but I mean that doesn't really prove anything. Just because I've seen these different debates in these forums that they have, like 20 Christians versus one atheist, and vice versa. But that doesn't really prove anything. All that just depends on the skill of the person speaking and their memory, and if they can quote from the various sources that they're using to argue their side. That doesn't make you right. The reason why I want to speak out to atheists is because not because I feel sorry for them, but because I was there and I thought that way for a long time, and I understand it. And it's not that I want to convert anybody to being a Christian like I am, which I'm not even a religious Christian. Like I don't necessarily trust in the church that sprang up after Jesus was killed. I do believe that a man named Jesus was born, suffered, died, and was buried, pretty much like how they say in the Catholic Mass. But I believe it because of the historical record of the many different accounts of Jesus. And not only that, I believe it because like I said, my personal conversion, that was between me and Jesus, and maybe someday I'll talk about it, but I believe it because no one can make that story up. Yeah, you can make up little parts of it, like the whole Bethlehem story and the nativity scene and all that, and make it that could all be, you could add little details like that and flourishes. That doesn't change the fact that a man named Jesus, who lived in that small area in Nazareth around this certain time period, who cares what exact day it was or what night he was born, or if it was in a manger or not, that doesn't matter. The point is, this man existed because the things that he said were revolutionary, not just then but now. If you take, say, the Beatitudes or the Sermon on the Mount and really study it and really dig into the meaning of it, because he broke it down into parables that were so simple that you could memorize them easily, that people who he was preaching to were illiterate. I would say probably a lot of them, if not all, most of them, could remember, and maybe they understood at the time, maybe they didn't, but they were able to, someone was able to record it and write it down. Again, who cares who wrote it down? The point is, whoever did write it down didn't take credit for it and say, I wrote this. They say some other guy wrote it and his name was Jesus. I was just his follower. That to me tells me that that lends legitimacy to it, because if I wrote something so profound, or if I said something so profound, because I'm a normal person, not that I'm a narcissist, but I would want credit for it because I said it. I would want credit for my book that I wrote. I would want credit for the sayings that I said. Wouldn't be ashamed of them, that's for sure. Not that Jesus was ashamed. I'm just saying he was on a mission. This man lived because of the things that he said, like I said, are so fundamentally profound, and science to this day is catching up with some of the things that he said. The realities of the universe are very, very similar to what he said, and he exposed religion for the religion of the time. He went against the Pharisees. He went against the established religion of his time, which was in Jerusalem. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. You can't make up a story like that and get away with it. Even the Jewish people recognize that the man lived. They don't agree with it. They don't think he was a prophet, but they can agree that he lived. So I don't think there's a debate that this person named Jesus lived. And if there's no debate that he lived, and there's no debate that he said what he said, then there's no fucking way that he wasn't divine. Now, I don't want to get into a debate either about whether he was the Son of God, whether he was God and the Son. All that is not important to me. The important thing is this man knows how the universe works. And how do you do that when you're just a man that grew up 2,000 years ago in Jerusalem? The only way he could know it is if he was more than just special, more than just a wise teacher. He was who he said he was, and I believe that he said he was God, and he said these things, which could be taken out of context, which could be, he meant to say what he meant was we're all God. I mean, I've gone down that rabbit hole too. That's a debate for another time. But the point is, I don't think there's any way that a sane, logical person can say that Jesus, the man, didn't exist. And if that's the case, if you could ascribe the words that are attributed to him, why would anybody attribute them to him if they weren't? And if he said those words and he did those things, that is a very, very more than just a special guy. No one has that kind of power. I'm not talking about just like miracles. Forget about that. Who knows if he really did miracles, or you can't prove it. We don't have any proof of it. That's not the point. The deal is the things that he said and the revolutionary concepts that he was spitting out were things that we can still use to this day in this modern world, 2026, without changing it. It's word. And he, like I said, he went against the established, very, very powerful, very, very staunch, very, very orthodox religion of his time. He was born into that, and he didn't mince his words. He didn't try to say, oh well, you guys are wrong. He said, what you're saying, the laws of God and the laws of the Old Testament, yeah, that's all good and well, but what I'm saying is way more important, because you've lost your way. You've lost your way by sticking to the law and being so caught up in word for word interpretation of the law, and instead of being good people, instead of being good human beings. And he said, you know what? I'll show you how to be a good person. I'll show you how to be in tune with God. Watch me. And you follow his life story. Every little thing that he did was recorded in the Bible. It's pretty hard not to see that he wasn't just a good teacher or a special man. He was God. He has the power of God, because he's completely connected. He had no heaviness. He had no hate. He had no he maybe have had righteous anger, at times, but he wasn't anger. He didn't ever let his emotions control him. He was so in tune with, I use God and the universe interchangeably. He was so in tune with the universe, with God, with everything true in nature, that he could walk on water. And so could we if we were in tune like that. But we're not. And it might be too late for me. I'm too stuck in my ways. I'm stuck in the real way of looking at the world through my eyes, which are deceptive because it's not real. What we see isn't real. That's science. It's a upside down reverse image. They talk about it like a hologram. We're taught to see things and give names to things and give to name the seasons, to name the hours, but there's no such thing as time. Everything's just a construct. So all that being said, I'm proud to say that I believe in Jesus Christ. The Lord is my shepherd, and I used to not make fun of that particular Psalm 23, but I was one of those people who called people a sheep if they believed in religion. If they're any religion, they're just sheep. They're dumb. That was an insult, but you're dumb sheep, because sheep are dumb. All they do is walk around and eat grass. Sheep can't think of higher concepts. They're so dumb they just follow their shepherd. Wherever the shepherd guides them, that's where they eat, that's where they drink. But if you compare us, and I'll use me as a normal human being, it's easy to compare myself to a sheep when I know how big and how vast the universe is and how scary it is and how violent it is. It's easy for me to admit that compared little old me, just a regular man, compared to all of that, all the things we can't see, yeah, I'm about as smart as a sheep. I can't make mountains move. I can't make rivers flow. I can't do any of that shit. None of it, not even close. And if I'm a sheep, you're damn right. I'm proud to have. I'm proud to admit that you can call me a sheep all day, and I'm proud to say that Jesus Christ is my shepherd. And thank God, literally thank God that someone like him, someone with that life that he led, and the words that he said, and the things that he did, and the way that he died with honor. Wow, thank God that man, who is eternal, he suffered and he died like a physical death, which was, if you know anything about his story, it was not pleasant. It wasn't like he got the gas chamber. It wasn't like he got electrocution or a guillotine, something easy like that. He set an example with his life, and if that person who is God is my shepherd, well, yeah, I'm so thankful and grateful, because it's a scary world out there. Scary. If you really think about it, any little thing can happen. So when I wake up, I'm thankful for my Lord Jesus Christ, and I'm thankful for all that I have, and hopefully I'm smart enough now, although I'm nothing compared to God, smart enough to know that just because I have things great now, I have a wonderful wife, daughter, family, house. Some people are struggling really bad, living in their cars, living in sheds, living in tents. I don't even know if I'm strong enough for that. I don't think I am. So I thank God every day. I wake up thanking God. I go to sleep thanking God. I thank God for every meal. And I'm not saying that makes me better than anybody. I'm saying I'm just giving my confession. I do it because that's alignment with goodness. That's alignment with the most good person who ever lived. And he said in his example, I'm not ashamed of that. I'll pray. I used to be embarrassed if I did pray because my mom wanted me to pray, or whatever as a kid. And even as an adult, when I converted from complete atheist, I wasn't just a regular atheist. I was a militant atheist. I wanted to tear apart religion, like literally, physically. Not to tear down the church, but like take away their money and their funding, and I felt like they were more harm than good. I was listening to Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and people like that, and they're very intelligent, very well spoken, and very reasonable men. But even though I don't particularly agree with churches, and I think they do cause a lot of harm, a lot of them are not designed the way God intended, the way Jesus intended. They've been taken and used in bad ways. But I still go to church sometimes because I like being around other people who believe in Jesus Christ. I like it. I like singing the songs. I like it. I don't give a crap. I don't give a shit if someone else thinks that's funny. Do not give a shit. I think it's, and I don't think they're funny. I think it's sad, because if you really think you're so smart, you're smarter than God. You're smarter than the infinite being, whatever he looks like, whatever he is. You call him the giant spaghetti monster, or whatever you want to call him. It doesn't matter. Something made all of this. Earth, Mars, all the space in between, all the other galaxies that we'll never see. We'll never even get there. Some super intelligence created all that and has power over all that. They're not afraid of anything. That's what I want to be in alignment with. Not claim to be smarter than it. There's no fucking way I'm smarter than it. And if you think you are, man, good for you. I'm not going to argue with you. Wow, you're really putting yourself on a pedestal. But hey, a lot of people do. I don't give a shit. It doesn't bother me when people put themselves on a pedestal. You could do it somewhere else. You don't have to do it in front of me. But you have more those atheists who think that they're smarter than God, or they can outsmart the creator of the universe, nature. Wow, that's an astounding amount of confidence in yourself, which I don't know how you get it. That's pretty cool. I don't feel mad or anything about that. I just think it's if you really stop and think about it, that's not very, I don't know, it's not very logical. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's all I have to say about it for now, because looks like traffic is breaking up. I get to go home to a beautiful wife who I love with all my heart, who believes the same things as me, who just is the way she is. Not because she wants to please me, but that's just the way she is, and I am the way I am, and we are perfect for each other. I have a house, I have food in the refrigerator, we're going to have a nice meal together. I just finished a great day at work. I got no complaints. Thank you for listening. God bless you.